Welcome to the Prescription for Career Success podcast.
But Jasmine says, hey, I was laid off 4 months ago. I've applied to so many jobs. Man, I am seeing this. I'm seeing it in Reddit, I'm in the chat forums. I'm seeing people post on LinkedIn about how frustrating it is. And Jasmine says, I've applied to so many jobs, but I'm not getting interviews. And honestly, my confidence has taken a hit. It feels like maybe I'm not good enough. Jasmine, I promise you, you are good enough. Most of the time, it's just, the way the resume is written. Again, I've seen people with resumes that were not so great that were still getting interviews. But most of the time, it's because even though I might not think the resume is great, they at least had the key words in there that's getting them the interview. So Jasmine is asking, how do I rebuild my confidence and actually get noticed by employers? The first thing, Jasmine, is know that you're not alone in this journey. There are thousands of people looking for jobs. I read an article today that said in the human services space or social impact space, with the closure of USAID, it's impacted over 250,000 people that worked in international development. They have lost their jobs. So think about that. Those people are having to reinvent themselves. So you are not alone. I want you to realize that, first of all. The second piece is that I want you to think about yourself as a brand. And you are building the brand of you. Sometimes we are so attached to the jobs and the careers that we've had that we become embedded in that thing that we did, right? But you're actually the brand. And so sometimes we have to start from the beginning and say, well, who am I really? And how am I marketing myself as a brand? Because again, being laid off, it can shake your confidence. But I want you to know that it says nothing about your worth, Jasmine, or your capability, okay? Because here's the hard truth. The job market is going to be competitive. I just mentioned 250,000 people just did international development. I have a doctorate degree in global health, and I'm having to fall back on things like my bachelor's from 20 years ago in human resources and a master's degree in history. I mean, I'm lucky to have multiple, levels of education, but I can tell you that is not just what employers are looking for. I mean, the education is great, but the skill set is what a lot of employers are really looking for, right? And so most likely you have the skill set, you just are not tapping into it to maximize your potential. When it comes to rebuilding your confidence, I want you to start by taking an inventory of your wins. And this actually can really start, Jasmine, when you are sitting down to revamp your resume. I want you to look at that current resume that you have that you've been sending out to employers, okay? When it comes to that resume, is it just a list of job descriptions? Does that resume actually really show you as a winner? Okay, does this show you at the level that you are at? Because I get it. You probably were not expecting to lose your job. You put together a resume. You're out there searching. And in the midst of that, you're dealing with all of these emotions. But I really want you to actually take some time to look at yourself as the brand. Now that you've taken a deep breath, it's been a few months. Go and look at this resume again. Is it really demonstrating who you are? And are you really articulating who you are? Because in that case, I would encourage you to schedule a free appointment. Let's sit down and look at you as the brand. And I think that's what most people are missed because, again, you've been tied so much into this job that you've done. It became who you were, but that's not actually who you were. It's just a part of piece of your life. So rebuilding your confidence is write a resume that really shows who you are, the projects that you've led, the initiatives that you've supported, okay? I'm not sure where you are in your career, Jasmine, but even if you've supported major initiatives, the things that you've done, if it's just something as like supporting internal clients, right? How did you make an impact on an organization? What was the amount of dollars that you saved? What type of recognition did you receive? Once you kind of start to think about the totality of what your experiences are, that's going to really help you to really see, like, I'm much more valuable than I'm giving myself credit for. And in that case, that allows you to take an inventory of your wins. And also just the mere fact that you've applied for all of these jobs and you find the strength to keep going through this process, that's a win. And so in going back to your material, what I would just say to you is just make sure that the materials, your branding documents, that they tell the story of who you are. So instead of just listing out tasks and keywords, I want you to focus on results. like increased efficiency by 20%. Led a team that secured $500,000 in funding. I mean, you might not have led it. Maybe you supported it. Maybe you facilitated a process. Although the way that you are using those words, that's important. And then I would suggest also to boost your confidence is practicing how you talk about your layoff. Instead of saying I was laid off and this is my favorite. Don't say that you were fired. And I heard somebody say that it was all the same thing. And it's not the same thing. You laid off is I was coming to work. I did not expect it, right? Firing usually involves some level of behavior, whether you think it's fair or unfair. But people get laid off every day. And so that is, what I'm saying is I want you to not dwell on that. And I see a lot of that. I get it, man, the emotions of mourning, especially if you put years into a job, but you have to pick yourself up by your bootstraps and move forward. And I get it. Let's mourn, but we got to move forward. And we got to build a brand for ourselves that allows us to be competitive. We haven't even gotten there yet. And I said it earlier today in an event that I was hosting. We're going to start doing some things here at Work Solutions where we're talking about your career in AI, because they're saying by 2030, about 80% of the jobs that are white collar jobs, meaning like administrative desk type jobs, AI is going to start replacing those jobs, right? So you have to ask yourself, how do you become an asset? That is a whole different topic. But what I'm telling you now is that when it comes to confidence, Jasmine, you have the skill set. You just have to know that you are competent, and you have to focus on building the brand of you. And that's going to start with how you build those personal documents, okay?